Joining us now is Bob Katz, the producer of Average Joe, and we just watched the trailer. We saw that this film is based on the life of Joe Kennedy, and from what I read about him, Bob, he was in foster care, he served in the Marines. Can you tell us a little bit more about him and what led to this moment where he realized he would have to fight a huge legal battle so that he could pray on the football field?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Joe's life story is every bit as important to the movie as his Supreme Court victory. In fact, the first two-thirds of the movie is probably just about his life. He had a horrific childhood. He was passed from foster home to foster home, and then he went into boys' homes where nobody could control him. Finally went into the Marine Corps to turn his life around, which he did. Defended our country for 20 plus years, fought in Iraq, and came back and really, he wasn't really a football coach. He volunteered to be a coach, not so much for football as to pour into young people who he saw were going through what he went through. And he made a vow to God that, if he could do this, and if God would just heal his marriage, because they were going through some problems, that he would go out after the game by himself when everybody's going home and take a knee and just thank God. And the school board went ballistic and said, "No, you can't do that. You've got to go pray. We'll give you literally a broom closet in the locker room where you can go pray by yourself." And they picked on the wrong guy. Joe said, I didn't defend my country for 20 years. I didn't risk my life in Iraq for a couple of years to come back here and have my First Amendment freedom of speech and freedom of religion taken away from me. And he said no. And he kept walking out to the middle of the field after the game to take a knee, and they fired him.
And something I was surprised by was this is a story that didn't even happen that long ago. The Supreme Court made its decision in 2022. We're not going to spoil that. But how quickly did you get involved with this project?
Well, we started working with Joe. My partner made the first contact and introduced me to Joe, and I thought, wow, this is an important First Amendment victory or First Amendment case. At the time, it was just a case. But I don't think anybody wants to see a movie about the First Amendment. They'll all go to sleep. And he said, no, just go talk to Joe. And as Joe told me about his life, and I met his wife, and they met when they were 9 years old. He proposed to his wife, Denise, when they were 9. Now, they didn't get married for several more years, but this was a tremendous love story, which is the core to the movie. It's a Marine Corps story, it's a football story, it's an abused childhood story. And I thought, wow, this is a great story because he is an average Joe, had a difficult life, and fought his way all the way for 8 years to the Supreme Court on behalf of the American people who didn't even know he existed. The problem was we got the life rights to his story. We began the script, but we couldn't end it for years because there was no Supreme Court ruling. So we sat there on this story and got to know Joe better for several years before we could finish the script and make the movie.
And as you mentioned, Joe's relationship with his wife, a beautiful love story, and she played a big role in his conversion to Christianity. So I'm assuming we'll see some of that in the film.
Oh, absolutely. It is core to the film. It's central, not only to the film, but she, through the dialogue, lets it know how core it was to her life and to their relationship, that without Joe surrendering his life to God, she didn't see how their relationship would continue on. So, yeah, that's a very powerful part of the story.
And he was an atheist before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's amazing that he took it all the way. He not only converted, but was willing to just like risk his reputation, a job, to bring this court battle to the highest level.
Yeah, yeah. It took a special person. It took 8 years. It almost brought their marriage to the brink of divorce. The hate mail, the things that they had to endure, not just Joe, but Denise as well, through this battle, Most people, I would think, would just say, it's not worth it, forget it. But like I said, they picked on the wrong guy. And Joe, you know, true to being a Marine, said, no, no, we're not giving up our First Amendment rights because it's politically incorrect now. And he dug in and fought all the way to the Supreme Court. And I don't think most people realize the precedent-setting case that he won that really reversed a lot of the freedom of speech and freedom of religion rights that we had lost.
All right, Bob, so where can people watch the film? It's out today, right?
Yeah, um, it's going to be in about 2,000 theaters across the country. You can go to averagejoemovie.com and see, just type in your zip code, you'll see a theater near you. You can actually buy tickets at averagejoemovie.com. And hopefully it's going to have a nice long run. So, but what would really help us is if you pack out the theaters on opening weekend.
Awesome. We will pray that we can do so. All right, Bob, thanks so much.